is Movie Log, tape 9, date July 18th, 1980. Prom Night review. Okay, so Kurt was about to do this review, went to a store, got a tape, and I'm like, you know what, I think I'm gonna stick around, take a hike. In the woods, at night, alone. Anyway, another week, another movie, another opinion, another review. And you know the saying, opinions are like holes, everybody has one. But back to the fun little screenings, which this flick clearly was. Honestly, if I'm in an almost empty theater, I know for a fact that I'm gonna have a much better experience. What's curious though, why was it almost empty? You have a catchy title, you have a flashy poster, you have a nice-ass premise. Y'all ran like crazy to see Mrs. Voorhees and Michael Myers' shenanigans. So what happened? Prom Night is not your typical run-of-the-mill slasher flick. It almost turned out to be a teen thriller. Me in the theater. What the hell? I bought tickets to see… Oh, okay, never mind. After all, it checks all the boxes, cause technically slasher is a subgenre of horror, involving a killer, sometimes masked, stalking and murdering a group of people, usually teenagers, by use of bladed tools. Plus, when I watch a slasher film… Let's just roll the clip, shall we?
When I watch a slasher film, I expect a nice amount of gore, I expect inventive kills, I expect cool mask, I expect signature weapon.
Definitely. Verdict, slasher. Case closed. Mixing genres is fun. Same goes to mixing chemicals in the chemistry class. And just as the latter may end in dire consequences. Personally, I'm not a fan of mixing comedy with drama, also known as dramedy, war with romance, and sci-fi with fantasy. Oh god, would you stop it already? But some marriages do work, it happens. Comedy with horror, fantasy with war, sci-fi with horror, romance with comedy, also known as rom-com, thriller with horror, practically anything with horror. The last one even became a genre of its own. But back to the review, and we should start with the idea. Prom Night is a Canadian film with Canadian actors that was shot in Canada, specifically Toronto. First of two familiar faces belongs to the head of Leslie Nielsen from Airplane. Swear to god, this movie is haunting me. And the second face is a scream queen herself, Jamie Lee Curtis, who's been screaming successfully in flicks like The Fog from 1979 by John Carpenter, Terror Train from 1979, and of course Halloween from 1978, also by John Carpenter. Speaking of Halloween, it's one of the bells that rings when Prom Night stops by. They are alike, but not really. Then we have this year's Friday the 13th, which is way worse, but still, similar different. And finally Black Christmas, also known as Silent Night, Evil Night from 1974. Again, What I'm saying is, all these films have the same event theme, which goes south when kids are being slashed to salads. The reason they are being served with dressing on the side in this particular movie is an intentional murder. And where's murder, there's revenge, which leads to more murders. See, someone witnessed an accident and several years later plans to take out the culprits. Basically, the flick could have been called I Know What You Did Last Summer. Picking movies is like playing blindfolded tag on the edge of a cliff. Sometimes it's fun, and sometimes it's a tragedy. Used Cars was a tragedy, and I thought it's gonna be a good one. While Prom Night I expected dick from, and it turned out to be the other way around. Moving on to the plot, and it's gonna be spoiled, so watch out! The film starts with four kids accidentally killing a girl. They decide to shush about it and never tell anyone. Nothing special, generic beginning. 6 years later, just before the prom night, probably that's why it's called Prom Night, each of four kids receives a call. That's when you start to think that maybe you've not wasted your money after all. Each kid, now a teenager, received a call, but not all of them picked up. Usually, when a killer calls you in a movie, you pick up, you listen, you shit your pants. Then you see that those four teens don't hang out together, cause this is how real life works. Then you see that good guys can kick some ass too. Oh movie, what are you doing to me? I really liked how the killer got his ski mask and his signature weapon, which is a mirror shard. But here's the problem. First two acts only have 2 kills, one accidental and one off-screen. Instead, they have a never-ending disco dance scene. By the time you get to the third act, where all the slasherness is, you only have half the interest left. But you do get to the kills eventually. And the film continues to surprise you. Some of the victims refuse to get sliced and fight back. The guy nicknamed Slick was pretty slick, that's for sure. The killer is quite realistic due to his constant missteps, and I mean both figuratively and literally. Jesus Christ, Clumsy Dumsy was tripping and falling all over the place. Also wanna take my hat off to the switcheroo decapitation. And it's not a positive or a negative, but cool kids trying to pull a prank at the prom was so scary, okay, maybe more of a negative. Now it is time to talk acting. It was probably the most inconspicuous and forgettable part. Main girl's guy spent the entire movie with an idiotic look on his face. Slick's girl was super cute, I wish we'd seen more of her. Leslie Nielsen was in the film for reasons no one on earth knows. And Jamie Lee Curtis was obviously the best actress there. Prom night, everything is alright. Prom night, no more feeling uptight. That's why she's Jamie Lee Curtis and not that girl from that movie. I always forget that she's the daughter of the great Janet Leigh. Next up is the visuals. The first thing that caught my eye was editing. Throughout the film I was like, interesting. Quick cuts like the cord, the phone, the cord, the hand, or a teenage girl replaced with a kid for a second to let us know who that is. That's when you know that you're watching a professionally made film. On the other hand, the kills. First of all, not enough. Then, you never see the exact kill. They're either off-screen or shot from a stupid angle. Except one, that same switcheroo decapitation. Heads will roll. I wish all the kills were like that one. And finally, the X Factor. I heard some people really enjoyed disco soundtrack. Not one of them, more of a hard rock girl. So obviously, no extra points. And now it's time to do the math. It gets 1 out of 2 for idea. Vendetta stories are right up my alley. Its slasherfulness is what holds it back. It gets 1 out of 2 for plot. Succeeds as a thriller, fails as a slasher. It gets 1 out of 2 for acting. I forgot. It gets 1 out of 2 for visuals. Good editing, but bad gore. No, bad gore. And it gets 0 out of 2 for X Factor. Better luck next time, I guess. Overall, it gets 4 out of 10, which is a perfect balance of qualities and flaws. So that's it. In the end, I want to say that this film gives more than takes, avoids various cliches, and becomes a good addition to the genre. I'd recommend it to die-hard slasher fans and people who enjoy whodunit movies. As you can see, not a slasher fan, not I liked it that much. So yeah, here's my review. I'll see you when I'll see you.